first of all, thanks a lot for having us here at DIGILITY. We're really pleased. We also have a booth downstairs, so feel free to visit us whenever you want to try our experience, but we'll tell you some more about that later on. So when we start telling people we are doing something in VR, we often lose them because they start thinking about their fears, they start thinking about new chances and opportunities that technology could offer for their application. And that's obvious because we all know VR has the power to change the way we think, to change the way we create, and all in all to change the way we live in the future. When we think about VR applications in the future, we think about things like medicine, think about architecture, arts, about e-learning, and also about something like entertainment. VR gives us content developer the chance to reach our audience in a much more emotional way than ever before, and like compared to each other medium we had before. And why? Because we have a deeper access to people's sensory perception systems, and therefore people will identify with the experience and with the content way better than ever before. And what would be more emotional topic one wants to identify with than music? Like a lot of people, we at NOYS VR are very passionate about music, but unlike most, we are using VR to tackle many problems the music industry obviously had enough of over the last 20 years. And let us point it out right from the start, we're not using 360 videos for doing this. So NOYS VR is about the connection from musicians to their fans. It's about that magic moment you get when those two actors get together in the live music creation, the live concert. As a musician, competition is growing on a daily basis. But I also have the chance to reach more people than ever before, while my revenue is shrinking also because of the more and more competitors getting into the market. But nevertheless, these people I can reach are spread all over the world and get flooded with content on a daily basis, especially music content. And this causes the real problem to happen. There is no real connection between a musician and their fans in this digital media anymore.
If you can put your mind to it, you know it can be done. If you can put your mind to it, you know it can be done. Because if you don't do it, then nothing will be done. If you can put your mind to it, your will be done. Singing. Some might beat you up, some might drag you down. Some might beat you up, some might drag you down. And if you don't give up, they won't keep you down. Some might beat you up, some might drag you down. Oh, it could all be so simple if it wasn't so hard. Is our love just a symbol?
Thank you. So we want to enable artists to perform live from at home with the equipment they already have at home, so a webcam, an audio interface, the instruments, whatever they have. And they can just set up everything, play. Our software will cut them out and put them into an environment which they can create by themselves, fitting to their own music. And people can join in VR and interact with each other and interact with the artists in real time. But how does such a production look like from the musician's perspective and also for our company? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So when we think about the 5 stages of our content production cycle, we always need to look at them from different points of view. We need to know which standardized processes from the music industry we already know and which we can use to accelerate the production phase. We need to know which processes from the gaming industry we can use for ensuring environmental quality, which offers like assets that are good to look at. And we need to know, as we are producing content for VR, how we can implement VR into the creational process itself. Our chain starts with a very classical element from the music industry, the concert pre-production. And here you will find processes like artist and location scouting, like music licensing, or artist and venue booking. Once we have the artist in-house, we start a very classical audio-video production. So we set up the artist in front of a green screen, we do the miking arrangement, we do set up the cameras, and we do the quality assurance after each session, so the time was not lost. When we then sit together with the artist and our concept designers to collect ideas and bring everybody to the same vision. During this process, we always try to quick prototype the scene in VR so we can ensure to work towards the same direction with the whole team. With the prototype in mind, we started asset creation. This can be 3D modeling, texturing, it can be sound designing, audio-visual effects, motion design, whatever needs to bring the idea to virtual reality. And in the last step, we put everything together. All the assets we created will merge into experience, which will be handed over to the users. And to give you some insights on how these three industries can collaborate during these processes, Fatih will now explain to you the last 3 steps more in depth.
Thanks. Yeah, so if we think about a concept, so just like an example how you would approach a classical video. So I think almost all creative meetings have the same tools nowadays. And this also applies for the game industry, for music videos, for live concerts, how this is my stage going to look like. And especially if you think about video games, since you have so much opportunities, you need to use the tools. You need to illustrate and show what are we going to achieve, what is it going to look like, and what we're going to do with our fans. But there's a special case in gaming that is called prototyping. So you do the prototype to get answers to questions like, will this concept actually work out? Is everybody on the same page? Or is it even fun what we thought about? And this can also apply to a concert. Because a concept really is there for just one thing, getting all the team towards the same goal. So we have here a video that is showing like our process that we use, because there's a special case coming off of VR here. With virtual reality, this process is much more accelerated and a lot easier, because you will be able to produce VR content in VR. That enables you from the beginning to really visualize and show everybody else what you want to achieve, because we wasted so many hours writing on paper and whiteboards and showing the artists our vision, but we never got the connection, because as soon as we put it into VR, there was a total big misunderstanding. So since we switched to using virtual reality to show our virtual reality product, everything changed. So we could manage that all the team, with quickly putting on the headset, instantly knew, I now know how big the stage is going to look like. I know how it feels when you stand inside of there. Is it clumsy? Is it comfortable? Does it feel like too wide or too narrow? And this is something that really helped us improve every step that came right after this one. So the moment your team or maybe and your client, in our case the artist, visited the final product and agreed with you to begin with you can now begin with the assets. So we need to convert it. If you think about a live concert, architecture, a building, what happens now is that you have to reproject 2D images, drawings, flat 3D renderings or whatever into a real world object. So, and you have to even think about physics. So do we have to wrap all the hall in Molten or whatever so we cancel the reverb and we can actually do a concert? These are things that you have to consider and take in mind. But for virtual space, if you think about video games or virtual apps, here you often have from the other side. So you capture real-world objects. You capture audio from the real world to really do the virtual side of the things. So, and here the tools get more and more sophisticated. We get better algorithms. We can with photogrammetry capture real-world objects, and you have sculptings to really bring things to life. And it's much more forgiving if anything is not cool because it stays in the medium. If you create it virtually, it stays for a virtual product. So tools are especially accelerated with virtual reality because we have everything in mind while we develop all these things. Everybody saw how the stage is looking like. I can prepare the sounds in a way that I know this is going to be like a mid-sized cave, for example. And the complexity of this part of the production, the asset creation, is really the one that puts way too much weight on imagination of the team. So this means everybody has to reproject all these concepts by themselves, and too often it happens that everybody had a different understanding in the end. So in our case, we did a lot of sketches, and we put everybody inside a VR application, said, people, you can take the controller and draw also in the space, and we worked together on this concept. And then we were able to put it out for the 3D artists. They knew exactly what they had to work on, how the concept is looking like in this whole position. So it's not like image that shows the front side of the concert and an image for the left side. It was really, everybody was in there. So we put it, so after we created the assets, in the meantime, we also had like the combining all the things. And for this, we use Unreal Engine. So I remember a story when we started with this project the first time in public. We went to the book fair, and people came and said, how do you build a world like this? How do you place people inside fantasy world? Did you just... And I was like, video games are there for like 25, for 3D programming. 3D games are there for a lot of time, and people didn't even make a connection there. So I was pretty surprised, and that's when we noticed that we can use all these pipelines and tools to do concerts. And this, like for example, how a much more advanced version of this looks like when it's more rendered. So think about a concert. The most important factor is music, for sure. But there are also rules in a concert that apply, so you have to expose the artist, you have to know where the music is come from, you have to get the connection between the artist and the sound he is making. And there's also the component of the of the artist and his stage and the audience. And most of the time, this relationship is like limited on the viewer part, so you're participating, you can interact with your neighbors, with other people, and other than cheering and shouting out, is like how a concert, if you like take it apart, can look like. So to really, the goal of a concert is to take you out of reality and put you like in the fantasy and into the music. And some need a big show with fireworks and laser, and some others is just a man with a guitar that can really bring you somewhere else. And if you think about video games, they have the same goal. They want to take you into a road trip. They want to bring you somewhere else. The key difference for a video game is the interactivity. So the story can be told more interactively with taking you and your abilities in mind. And you also have the flexibility to render the world as an imaginary world that is not existing, that is creative, or just replicate as best as possible a real world, like a hyper-realistic scenario. So with a good story, you can immerse people. It doesn't matter if the visuals are realistic or not. If the story is good, people really get lost in stories. So, and the biggest roadblock for games, for example, is the fact that there's something that is blocking you from going in there. And it's mostly control schemes. It's difficult controllers. You have to learn things to get into the story. And also, most of the time, it's just a rectangle. So for VR, we have, so if we think about where we are now, so we have built worlds from scratch, and we have everything in part, and the only thing that comes now is the interactivity of VR. The problem is that right now you still have to, it's intuitive, but then it's not. If you skip the tutorial, it can get a little difficult sometimes. But this is where virtual reality really is the strongest. This is why I'm, as a human interaction designer, excited about VR and think that's the future. Because you don't have to read the tutorial to raise your hand and wave. You don't have to learn a button sequence to dance. So if you can't dance in real life, maybe you can dance in VR, but you know how it works, right? So the big part, and this is called presence. The feeling that you're not home and watching a live concert, but that you're in the concert. And that you're there and that you're feeling it and you remember it as being there in the next days. So we are not finished trying out all the interactions you can do with this world. So you can throw likes, you can light up virtual Zippos, you can draw in the air, you can go to the first row, you can go back, just enjoy it for yourself. You can enable your friends to visit you, you can meet new people, you can go backstage, you have a merchandise shop, you can talk with the artist and meet like-minded. And you can also meet us, as Fabio said, in our booth for today, for the rest of the day. We'd be really pleased to show you what we've done in the last 2 years that really evolved us as a team and evolved the product, and we are about to release it. So everybody is really welcome. And feel free to ask questions, but thank you for your time.